Good night. It's so good to be here again. Good night to all who is on online and all those people who stopped me and tell me that they watched the show. I saw about 40 people today who tell me this. I went to the supermarket. I almost gonna get away. I got here late. Everybody was telling me about the show. So and they're thanking us for this show because they said they learn a lot of things. I tell them I learn a lot too. So I, you know,
Yes.
so I think. And let me tell you though how my favorite line. You know what it is? And greater will our nation grow in strength and unity. Unity Workers Union, of course.
And, did you realize that the editor put when they said strength and unity, they had you on the truck at that time? Did you notice it?
I didn't see that. I don't realize.
Did, yeah, no, the editor is playing with you. So somebody said their favorite line is these fields and hills are now our very own. Yes, 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 yes. Wait, oh Lord, they're telling me that they saw you embracing Ralph. Somebody said, we will get there. We will get there. We will get there. Somebody says Leanne Bell says her favorite is our great forefathers sowed the seeds from which our pride has sprung. Yes, our great forefathers, all of our ancestors, those grandmothers and grandfathers and grandaunt and uncles and those that pass on. And every time that you stand up for your country, really and truly, you have all of those who went ahead of us, and they are cheering us on. David Bowen said, "The Lord has been the people's guide." That's another favorite one of mine. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Good night, loyal opposition. Theory. Hi, Theory. Theory is good. Theory tells me Theory is at the university, and he told I said, "Are you coming to the motorcade and the roadside park?" He said, "Yes, I have my speech prepared." This is one of the young men. He's about, how old is Theory? Probably 19, 20. He says, "I have my speech prepared because I know he's so against this cyber crime bill, and he will be there as well." Ah, it's wonderful. Good night. Okay, Sugarcane. What Sugarcane says? Sugarcane says we write our names on history. This anthem is a boss anthem, you know. I mean, every line means something, you know, Mr. Franklin.
Yes, it is actually.
We write our
It
name.
can appeal to everyone.
Yes, yes. We write our names on history's page. Yes. You know, a hurricane writer is saying the same thing. And this is what we're doing on this show. We are writing our names on a history's page. And we are doing this in a non-partisan way. We're not lining up behind any party. Don't make no this blue shirt fool you. Sometimes I wear red. Right, Mr. Franklin? It's not about
I
any colors or anything.
no, no, well, I'm very sorry. I don't wear red. I had some red shirts and I had them on the bonfire. I go to light them, and
Oh,
my
just
neighbor said give them. My neighbor said give them to him. So I wasn't going to be seen in red.
listen, listen. We
I, I
don't
am
line up
I am
behind the
I am
colors.
very
We're
I am very serious. I had them to burn. I didn't want to be identified with them, and they've gotten worse.
it doesn't got to work. Yes, yes, yes. Well, you know, Mr. Franklin, before we delve off into some of the this whole issue with Mr. Ralph Thorne and etc., we'll wait on that a little bit. You know, I want to talk about the teachers. I noticed that the not law school Lawrence Tigay was closed today, and I'm reading that it's some environmental issue, some smells and so on, and there've been quite a few disturbances. at various schools in Barbados. Do you have anything that you want to share with us about that?
Well, I don't know which one you want to talk about. You want to talk about the smells at Lester Vaughan, the fungus at and the mold at Lord School, the foot and mouth disease at St Ambrose. Take your pick. The
What?
whole place is the foot and mouth disease at St
What you
Ambrose.
telling me? What you said? Oh my lord, go slowly. You said there's mold at, is it mold at Saint at which
At
school
Lodge
is that
School,
has the mold?
Lodge. You remember
Lodge
Lodge
School.
came. Lodge went was handled very quietly. You know the classes went on back online and stuff, and they had to try to clean the building because it had not been. And even when they brought in people to clean, teachers like chalk. Teachers put some chalk
Mm-hmm.
marks in the area and come back and find them after the industrial cleaning. So it was
Oh
that
my
bad.
lord.
When you get people to do cleaning, especially when they don't know what they're doing, but they got connections, these things happen. So you take your pick. Which school? There was, I think, Good Shepherd got people back home today. You know, um, I don't know what that was about, but the St. Ambrose School, they
Right.
tried to hash it down. As a matter of fact, I think one male teacher had it, and some other children, but it's foot and mouth disease. But when you got foot and mouth disease, you shut the place down. You don't try to make it a secret.
Foot and mouth. Which school has this? Which school are they alleging has the foot and mouth disease?
But that's not allegation for me because teachers report to me that it was happening. Um, St.
Okay, which
Ambrose,
school? St.
St.
Ambrose. Oh my
St.
goodness,
Ambrose.
this is a primary school.
Yes, it is.
My gosh, and but that is serious foot and mouth disease. So that is coming from the fact that the place has not been cleaned.
I don't know. I understand it is highly contagious and something like that, but I don't know much about it. I always get my place clean or clean it myself. So the
I,
problem here is that our priorities in this country, when I say our, I mean the government's priorities in this country, are all messed up. They, I keep telling them, and I keep insisting, and I think they should read what the duties of the government really are. But the first duty of government is to protect the most vulnerable in society. And then you have foot and mouth disease at the school, and then you keep the school closed, I mean open, so that more children can get it. That is not protecting the most vulnerable. Look, I am not angry that there was an outbreak of disease anywhere. That can happen. My anger stems from the fact that they try to shut it down and I don't want the boy to know.
mhm.
That is the problem. Huh? Look, these people in the Ministry of Education need to do their jobs with the best interest and not the best of the children and not the best interest of the minister, because the minister that has so much problems going on around him is certainly not fit for purpose. But we've been saying that for a long time.
Exactly.
She needs to go because she is not fulfilling her role, or she's not fulfilling her role in the job as minister. We could probably find something for her, sanitation or something, but at least not even that, because that's for our health and she won't handle that either. You want something that she can handle, and I'm trying to spray in my brain, and for some, but I'll go home. The governance of this society is too important to leave it in the hands of perpetual amateurs, because they'll, like after a
Hmm.
while, amateur graduates to be a professional thing. No, these are perpetual amateurs. They do nothing right, and they consistently do nothing right. Right? I don't know what is happening in this country, and well, people are waking up. They're seeing that, but the government is not waking up. You know, and but their stress is to take care of their friends. You remember
Right.
Ralph talk about the contracts for people that look. And I remember hearing David Simmons speak, and he's saying that consultants just come in and get the mayor to make coffee and put the foot on the desk. No, got nothing to do. And I didn't expect that from him, honestly. But he was probably so angry about it. And this is his party. I talking about the former Chief Justice, former Attorney General, former my boss. He
Right.
said that all these consultants come in, get the mayor to make coffee for them, put them up on the desk. They don't got nothing to do. And if he was moved to say that, it must have been on his mind and hurting him for a long time for him to speak up against these things because he has always been protective of the Barbados Labour Party. But there's a time when you can't take it no more. Lord, I can't take it no more. Well, the people in Barbados can't take
Mm,
this no more. But they are going to bring out the worst in the people of this society if they do not leave office and find jobs that they can handle. Because right now they're not handling the 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 management of this country. First thing they did was to rob poor people of their little nest egg. Remember? Take away
yes.
and they keep going. They keep going. They keep going. Now they're exposing our children.
Mm,
Trying to find ways and to to fashion this society into the LGBT nonsense, and they're exposing our children to things that little children should not be. Today, I'm hearing that there was some program at the Hilton or someplace like that where they were want to start these student councils, and they were talking to the children about alternate lifestyles and this kind of nonsense. The press were not allowed in, but I was hearing that these are the kind of things that this ministry, the government, they're not trying to teach people skills. They're not trying to teach people um, any knowledge and that they can take forward and make themselves better citizens of this country or even citizens of the world.
right.
They're more concerned about getting our children into alternate lifestyles. That is not the role of the ministry. That is the role of perverts who would attract little children into do these kind of things. The ministry should not be a pervert. The Ministry of Education should not be a pervert. And right now it is. That is why your group got knocked out of NIFCA because they don't want to hear the truth. They want to perpetuate this nonsense about alternate lifestyle. There's no alternate lifestyle because if people go that way, you will not get a couple of generations down the way of my body. So it is
Exactly.
not it is,
But
it is not
you
an
know,
alternate lifestyle. It is death.
but Mr. Franklin, I so agree with you, and I'm seeing where St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they were able to push back against this the courts. The courts actually they did not accept. I just want to. There was a ruling that how they removed our buggery law. So there was someone trying to bring a case against St. Vincent and the Grenadines for their buggery law to be removed, and they were able to fight against it. But what is so interesting, everybody who's listening, is that as Mr. Franklin is saying, we could have our schools that are filled with molds, foot and mouth disease, stench coming out of schools, loaded environmental issues. We're not taking care of that. I'm seeing even there's a school, Mr. Franklin, where the bathrooms, one of the bathroom isn't working, or I think it's the boys' bathroom not working. And the kids, everybody has to use one bathroom. Little children are curious, etc. And they have all the children in this one bathroom, right? This is what is happening here in Barbados. However, they as you're saying, they are pushing this kind of lifestyle on the children and feeling like this is so progressive. Wouldn't it be progressive for them to clean the school? Isn't that progressive?
No, that is not the most important thing. The most important thing is to develop a cadre of perverts, young boys and girls that they can use as sexual objects and things. So they have to create them because they're not going to be created in the homes. The parents don't want that for their children, so you have to find a way to get sex partners, and that's what it's all about. You know, they want, and the thing is, it is perversion that they are introducing, and everything in this place is going wrong. You see the little boys going to school now; they here in a mess. But people said in high styles, they call them a mess because they come up with this grooming policy. Why was that? Why was that a priority? Why not toilet papers for some of the schools? You know, why not medications because they keep not and the drug pharmacy does not, they don't have this, they don't have this. Why stress on things like that rather than more important things? Why not clean the clinics? Why not clean the schools? Why not fix the potholes? It goes on and on and on and on and on, and they are stressing more and more on immoral behavior. I suspect
Yeah.
there's some demonic, and people might laugh at me when they talk about demonic things, but there's some demonic some demonic thing ongoing that we are yet to understand, because this thing cannot come, this type of behavior cannot come from normal, well-adjusted people. There got to be people who are possessed with some demons, and I know I don't want to sound like Freddie preaching, no, but you know it seems to me that that is the case. You know, and don't doubt it. Don't wait till we
Yeah.
all get caught by it, and when it's too late. When we are all hand in hand on the road to hell, no, we gotta stop this behavior. We gotta first of all, government should not be in the business of trying to develop alternate lifestyles. It's not their business. That is, your lifestyle is what your parents teach you, what how you grow up, not what government is trying to force down your throat. We have
And
always
that's the
had in
problem right
Barbados,
there.
we have always had people in Barbados who had alternate things. There were few, but they were tolerated in society. Nobody killed them. Nobody made fun. Nobody made fun at. Well, we make fun at them sometimes behind the back. And a lot of them were productive people. I remember when I was growing up, there was a fella. He's long dead now, but when you get him married, you would be happy. You'd be glad if Gray put put the bridal gown. He was good at that. You know, he put up braids. But nobody, and he was respected. But he didn't go out there trying to convert little boys to his way of life. He had big fellas with him, you know, and we know we trying to take the little children and warp their minds when we could wrap their
Yes.
minds around science, you know, robotics, English, math, French, Spanish, geography, industrial arts. What we should be trying to push them along those lines. No, you're not stressing on those things. You have more time for these alternate lifestyles. There's no alternate lifestyle because, and I tell people all the time, I will support this alternate lifestyle thing when two rams get a lamb. And I'm waiting. I'm yet to see it. It does not work. Two men don't get a baby. Two women don't get a baby. Anytime I saw you see two women together and one of them get a baby, one of them sneak up on it and found the man. It does not work. It is not a lifestyle. It is a way of death. It's leading to death. And mind you, we have a society that abhorred that type of behavior, but while tolerating at the same time. But now they want it to be all inclusive, and they set the standard for the courts to rule against it because they changed the Constitution, Section 26 of the Constitution, to say that these laws must be interpreted in a particular way. So when the judge had to rule on this buggery thing, she had no choice but to follow what the amendment to the Constitution said. So while and then
Mhm.
these dishonest people, and I call them dishonest, let them sue me to I could get another one in my tail. These dishonest people go before the press and make statements and say, well, it is not the government, it was the courts who made the decision. Yeah, the courts made the decision based on the laws that the government passed. The government changed the law and forced the court's hand. And they are not telling people this. They're just saying, oh, it was the courts. No, the government did it. The government made sure that the courts had
Yeah.
no option but to do this. And I cannot trust people who stand up in front of us and lie. I was complaining about it last time we were on when I heard ministers in the house talking about that bill, the one for I call it the Tony Moore bill because that's the one to get the union Barbados Workers Union going again. It was dishonest, and they pretended that they want to protect workers. They have no interest in protecting workers because if they want to protect workers, they would have given the workers that they employed in the ASH program and those things, they would have given them the
Mhm.
right to get the national insurance pension. They would not go there and deny that they're having that they're government workers. They're working for government. They were not working for themselves, and they're treating workers like that. So let's say these people continue working for a few years like that, and next thing something happens to them. National insurance, if you have 50 contributions and you get injured and you can't work anymore, you get a pension for life. But if you
Mhm.
don't put in the contributions for these people, suppose that young lady that we have adopted here, let's say she was injured to a point where she could no longer do anything, broke her back and she was still alive or something, they would say that's not that they have no responsibility to her. And what they will do is to tell us to go to the welfare department, and the welfare department now has problems because the government ministers call the welfare department and complain for welfare officers when they send their party people to welfare, and welfare determine that these people are working or they have the means. People got apartments rented out, and their politician friends send them to welfare. And when the officer says that they're not entitled to welfare, the officer in trouble.
Mhm.
Politicians here
Mhm.
tell people go into that house, and the welfare department will pay for it without any assessment whatsoever. Like they don't care, you know. And
Yeah.
that they do this nonsense all the time. They're just out there for themselves. They are destroying everything they put their hands on. I hope that Ralph could be able to topple them in the next couple of months. And I'm talking years because Barbados can't take this type of stress any longer. People
Can
will
take it.
break.
Easy D is saying, is asking a question here. He says, who is perpetuating the alternative lifestyle?
The Ministry of
Caswell, because this
Education,
government,
the Ministry of Education, they
I
are
agree. And I
pushing
want
the alternate
to the
lifestyle, and they're pushing it among little children as soon as they get into school. They just get
yes,
the little children
the
up there and
mainstream.
teaching them about alternate lifestyles only today. That I hope that answers you easily. Ministry of Education.
Yeah, yeah. You know
And you
what
know,
somebody says
you
here?
know, I read some place that says, "Whereas up the children in the way they shall go, and when they become old, they will not depart from it." That is what they are doing. They are getting the children
Yes.
to show them how they should go, that they will not depart from it when they get older. I saw that somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but I read it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, Mr. Franklin, but let me just cut you right there. Important because I'm glad Fihoy brought this up. He says, "Do we care what happened in two consenting adults' bedroom? I do not. It is not my business." And that's really what Mr. Franklin is saying, Fihoy. But however, the challenge is a lot of these adults don't want to keep it in their bedrooms. This is where what's going on, and so they are now putting it into policy for children. They're putting it into syllabus for children. They're putting it in the CXC syllabus, in the social studies syllabus. So what Mr. Franklin is saying, and I'm in total agreement with him, is that listen, you are two consenting adults. Keep your business to yourself, okay? But don't push it on the rest of the society, especially our children. And this started. We saw this when they gave out those questionnaires and those surveys, and we know of one survey, but it wasn't just one. I saw the questions of others that were given at Harrison College, Queens College, Springer Memorial School, that we didn't know about months before that. Okay, so there's a lot of that is happening within the school system, and while all that is happening, keep it to yourself. I think that's what you're saying, right, Mr. Franklin?
that is you put it in a nutshell very well. That's all I'm saying. I don't care what you do home at you. That's your business. But I care what you do when I send my children from home at me, and you decide that you can take them into their classrooms and teach them about things that I don't want my children to know about. Children, let children be children. And when they reach the age and they want to do anything, that's their business. But you should not be leading them down that path. They don't right now they're not stressing religion because they're saying, well, religion is not the church, the school's business, and that kind of thing. But no, so if religion is not the school's business, why is sex and perversion the school's business? Because that is their agenda.
Mm,
You know, my biggest problem though is
yeah,
that the people of Barbados seem to like them.
you know. I am seeing here where St. Vincent. I want to read a little bit about St. Vincent because this is the case that you were making reference to, Mr. Franklin, that it was upheld here in Barbados, but the High Court, um, Friday dismissed the case by two gay St. Vincent and the Grenadines nationals living overseas who challenged the island's buggery and gross indecency law. And this is the law that was challenged, and was struck down here in Barbados, but in St. Vincent only today that happened. And it's so interesting that you're saying that they were doing that today at the Hilton with these are what, six formers? They are, is it were these six formers, Mr. Franklin?
I don't know the age, but they're forming student councils, and I think they might
Yes.
be people throughout the third, fourth, fifth, that kind of people. I don't know exactly who went. I
The
only know what the
senior the
agenda
senior
was.
school, but you see, they take every opportunity, and that's what we're saying. They take leave that to the families, leave that to parents, leave that to those who are psychologists and sociologists and who all I leave it to the family and let them sort it out. Don't confuse the children, and then they go home and don't want to listen to the parents and all kinds of things. But they know exactly what they're doing. While the schools are filled with molds and diseases. How do you? I mean, I was just reading up on the foot and mouth disease, and it is so contagious. How are you going to be sending people's children into schools like that? Kay McConney. See, when they pass the cyber bill, if you call her name like this and she's offended, Mr. Franklin, that's $70,000 for us. Or 7 years in jail. But we're saying to Kay McConney, will you clean the schools? Kay McConney, will you clean the schools? I don't understand why. I mean, you have abused our children. Why did I say you've abused? You abused our children with that test. That's the first thing you did. Very abusive. Put our children to sit down for over what? Was it over 3 hours to do a survey that you collected their data about them, their personal lives, and their families? You abuse the children of Barbados. You abuse them emotionally, emotional abuse, and you are still sitting there as a minister of education. Why? And look at this situation now. This is not physical. This is physical abuse. The children are sick in the schools. Foot and mouth disease, moles. These moles can affect kids. People for, sometimes later in life is when they realize that something is wrong. All kinds of environmental issues. And you are allowed to continue to be the Minister of Education. The parents, I hold you accountable. Parents, you are the reason for this.
Marcia, just now you were talking. I just talked about the cybercrime bill. I was laughing because while you were writing, I was writing out a little verse, a couple of verses from the Bible of all places. It's John 8:31 to 32. It says,
Reverend
so
Franklin, Reverend Franklin, let
yeah,
me give you the mic. Give you the mic.
it says, so Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That's John 8:31 to 32. But in the cybercrime bill, Jesus said the truth will set you free, but in the cybercrime bill, if you tell the truth and somebody is hurt by it, you can go to jail for 7 years and pay $70,000. So in Barbados, the truth will not set you free. The truth will get you jailed.
Well,
Yeah, I was reading that, and I saw that, and I started to write it down. I actually typed it on my iPad at the same time. I copy it off here, because I don't know why how's government with these things because I I read things, so I happen to be reading that, and I said, yeah, somebody that directed me, some the spirit or something had directed me to go and read this thing because I didn't even know it was there. And when I got there, it said, and the truth shall set you free. I said, tell this to
yes.
the government, yeah, because they are saying that the truth will get you
Will
locked
not
up.
you out
Huh? The truth will get you
in
locked up for
Barbados.
seven
The truth,
years.
the,
You know,
the truth
just
will
to show
get
you that
you
this is
locked
to
up.
show you that this is a heathen government. The truth, Jesus said, the truth will set you free, and these people are saying the truth will get you jailed for 7 years. You know, what more do you? What more do you want? People say that Barbados is a Christian society, but this government is trying to undo all of that. They want even a Christian society. They're gonna lock you for telling the truth. It is section 19.3 of this cybercrime, but a clause is a bill. So when it's a bill, you call it clause. When it becomes an act, you say section. So clause 19.3, subclause 3, says that if it is whether it is true or not, whether it's true or false. So if you tell the truth on somebody and the body is hurt by it, like for instance, if I said May's an idiot, you know, some people might say that is true, and they might have reasons for saying so. But if she is hurt by me saying that, then I'm facing a magistrate, and a magistrate who, in all my years, know they only deal with, um, give people 2 years or three at most.
Mhm.
That's their jurisdiction. And now we're giving them the power to lock up people for 7 years. They will argue, oh, buying a lock and buy for 7 years, but that's the maximum. No, a magistrate is empowered to give you 7 years. So I'm sorry, Oswald. He says, I got him bad here. I am sorry. I didn't mean to do that. You know, but it's just what it is. Look at it. See it for yourselves. The normal law of Barbados, if you tell the truth, and even if the truth hurts, I go down the road and I say something about you, and you put me in court for saying it. They said truth is a complete defense. This is what lawyers tell me. I really don't know. This is what lawyers tell me. That truth is a complete
Yes.
defense to defamation. But if you put it on a computer and put it on WhatsApp or put it on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, that same truth that you cannot sue me for when I say it down the road in front of 100 people, in front of 1,000 people on the top back of the truck, if I put that on the computer and somebody gets hurt by it, I can go to jail. What utter nonsense. What utter madness. These people thinking? All they are doing is trying to destroy this place and make this place in their own image. That's all they're doing,
Yes.
But that's what happens, when you have you fashion it to the way that you're happy with it, you know. You're not thinking about what is moral because you might not be moral.
Yeah.
You're fashioning it the way you like it to be. But the people of Barbados must say to the government, you might like it so, but we don't. And you're working for us. Don't forget, we get them a job, a contract for 5 years. But we are still their employers.
Yes.
And they must be accountable to us. They cannot come and pass laws and don't tell us. Only today I have the deputy chief labor officer sent a bill that was going around for the longest time for me to make comments on. But they want to protect Barbados Workers Union anymore. That was only a couple of months ago. I would have sent. I think I sent you the CBC News cast where she was boasting to her people that's what the government going to do. Because that bill is only about protecting the Barbados Workers Union. They are now saying that because the Barbados Workers Union has deceived and betrayed the workers of this country so much that the workers are moving in droves. So in order to protect them, make sure they remain there, the government passing this bill. The labor clauses, concessions, act or bill of
Bill.
it hasn't passed yet. And they are fighting to say to the that you must be governed by the collective agreement that the unions negotiate with the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association. Mind you, the government is now forcing me to be bound by an organization that I don't belong to, because a lot of these hotels are not part of the Hotel and Tourism Association. So if I don't live up to the collective agreement that the union negotiate with the BHTA, I can lose my concessions. But the collective agreement, they have always taught us, and I don't know much, but they have always taught us that it is binding and honor.
Yeah.
And when you if the employer breach the collective agreement, that's when the employees then strike. It is not something for the union, for the government to get into. That is an arrangement between government, employer, and employee. Not even employer and employee, but employer and union. Because the job description and the contract is between employer and employee. The collective agreement is a set of rules or agreements that the employer and the union work out for people in their bargaining unit. You cannot, for instance, let's say I had a contract with you, Marcia, your school of dance. I had a
Mhm.
contract with you. You give me a contract, I sign off on it. Now, if you want me to change my contract with you, you have to agree. Not the union gonna agree and change it unless I employ the union and say I want you to negotiate with Marcia Weeks to change my contract. The union has no authority to get in there and change your personal contract, but they're doing it. They go into businesses and go and this and change um people's agreements that I made. I have an agreement with you, and a contract of employment is a contract between two parties, the employer and the employee. The collective agreement is a set of concessions, rules, whatever you want to call them, between the union and the employer. Yes, the workers in the bargaining unit might benefit from those concessions. And when you put them in the collective agreement and you say that these are the collective agreement now becomes part of your contract, you can't
Mhm.
change it for me now, because it's my contract. These are my terms and conditions now. The unions can't change them. But unions go out there and keep a lot of noise, making people believe that they are helping workers, but they're not. And in most cases, they'll go there and sell it to our workers. I see we have an employer in Barbados with over 600 employees. I've heard the
Mhm.
union praising them up, saying what a good employer they are. But of those 600 plus employees, only 35 are permanent. All the rest don't get a week on 40 hours. But the Barbados Workers Union still praise them up. Why? Because that employer gives them food when they got conferences. So they don't bite the hand that feed them. That is what I keep telling you all the
Wow.
time. That
Interest.
a union must live on its the contribution of its members. You should not go there begging other people for things, because when you beg people for things, they expect something in return. The government give
Mhm.
them duty-free cars. The employers give them money. And the thing is, if it were things given openly, then you can say, well, oh, it's not normal, no problem, stuff. But these things are done secretively. So they're
Mhm.
done in secret. So when you do things in secret, you do it in the dark, something has to be wrong. Because how
Yeah.
many people in Barbados know that the government has waived the duties on cars for successive general secretaries of NUPW and BWU? And then they don't even go and buy a Toyota and save the money. They go and buy Mercedes Benz and get the duty waive on that. BW got a Mercedes Benz, and UPW got a they call it BMW. They can't afford it, so you should live within your means. I drive a Suzuki.
Correct.
I still get to my meetings. Swift. Mind you, I don't drive it swiftly, of
Mhm.
course, but I get to my meetings. So
Conflict
what
of
is wrong?
interest,
But that's what we can afford. When I say we mean buy for that, because it's not a union's vehicle, and that is what we can afford. So you must live within your means. When you try to live outside of your means, that's why people get locked up. Because we prisons are full of people, because they ain't got the
Mhm.
wherewithal to spend the kind of money that they want to spend, so they're going to thief it and then get catch. And as you get caught, what happens? You're going to jail. And
Right.
but the thing is, nobody locks up these politicians and these union leaders, and it's about time.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody's asking. I think you answered this question before. Hi, Oswald Newton, there in St. John. Oswald is part of the team, Mr. Franklin, that is planning. the roadside parliament that's going to be in St. John at the Hard Court there in Gall Hill. So welcome, Mr. Oswald Newton, and thank you for the work you're doing down there in St. John. And he's asking if we give a 5-year contract. Was a snap election in there? I hate snap election. That's why we're here now. I think you've answered this first part of this question. Well, the question, because it's only one questioner.
But our parliamentary term is 5 years. But as I've said before, the prime minister can dissolve parliament at any time. And like for
Mm-hmm.
instance, if this government, this prime minister, called an election 3.5 years into her 5-year term during the middle of a pandemic when there was no need to.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand if the term was running out. 5 years and 3 months was good because you could go beyond for another few months. But you called an election early. You disenfranchised so
Yeah.
many people. So many people were in St. Lucie. So many people were confined home and can't go out, but were not allowed to vote. Made sure they can't vote. And they lock up a lot of DLP people at home so they can't go out and vote. All these things they did. Why? Because their intentions were never in the best interest of Barbados. It was, oh, I get an advantage here now because I got a lot of sick people out there and them can't vote against me, but I know my BLP people can come out and vote. And that is what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, people tell me that I was giving them some trouble too, and they wanted me out of the Senate. So all those things get together, and they have another 5 years. But we're going to go down for another at least 4.5 because they're not going to cut up. They're not going to have a snap election before 4.5 years. I tell you why. Simply because they have 3.5 and they need 8 years in order to qualify for the pension. So those people who don't have 8 years yet, who were only elected in 2018, they have to go down for 8 years. So if you cut them off early, they won't get a pension. So when they get 50 at the right old age of 50, they will not get a pension. So they can go
Mm-hmm.
down at least for 4.5 years. 4.5 and 3.5 is 8. And I keep saying on this show, and I keep saying anything, but listen to me. Politicians in my youth were a lot of people
Right.
who did well for themselves and tried and want to give back to society. These people are people who cannot make a living. Most of them who cannot make a living in any profession. And they
Mm-hmm.
want to get into politics so that they can live good and get good pensions. This is what it's all about. So the focus has shifted from people wanting to serve the country for the people who want the country to serve them.
Yeah.
I think it was. Don't ask what my country can do for me. Ask what I can do for my country. Well, they are saying,
Yes.
what the country can do for me. They can give me a pension for life from the time I reach age 50. And that is what it is. What politicians are guided by these days. So I remember you had Errol Barrow. He was a lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
and he sacrificed a career at the bar to be
Correct.
prime minister. He didn't die rich. Grantley Adams died leaving a mortgage on Terrell Court. As a matter of fact, one of the jobs that I had, I used to collect the mortgage payments because the public trustee
Mm-hmm.
um would collect the rent, the mortgage payments, and I was the person working for the clerk for the public trustee at the time. The public trustee is just the solicitor general, who has that as one of their functions, right? And every quarter, the people would come and they would pay the families would come and pay the rent until it was the government acquired it, then and make it whatever they make it into no. But Grant Adams died poor, and I don't want politicians to die poor. or penniless, but they get away with too much. And
Mm-hmm.
it is about too much about them and not about the people they're elected to serve. You know?
Yeah.
Well,
Somebody here is saying there's no spirit of sacrifice and service. Mr. Nigel Newton is saying there's no
well,
spirit
well,
of sacrifice
well,
and service.
that spirit has been put to rest ever since. You know, people don't want to serve now. As a matter of fact, why you think the unions are floundering? When I became a member of the National Public Workers, we used to have meetings on council meetings going well into the night, past my last bus, because I would catch the bus because I was youngsters and I just not slow start working because within a month of me joining the union, people were selecting me to be a shop steward. I probably make noise at work one day and everybody said, "Well, we want him." And I moved from there. The union then sent me for training. They sent me to the George Mini Center for Labor Studies. They sent me to the ILO Training Center in Italy, Turin to be exact. And they sent me even to Barbados Workers Union Labor College to help equip me to do the jobs. But because I was on the council and I showed interest, I was not an employee of the union at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And we had several people like that who were volunteers, who were out there working and worked hard in the unions. I tell you, as late as midnight, and then people had to come and give me a lift home because my last bus gone, you know. But I ain't left in that meeting
Mm-hmm.
because they might do something that I don't like. So I'm making sure I bend into every light out, you know, and then I can't get home. But then, of course, the same people that you were there trashing and licking up would come and carry on because they were big men. And I remember Horatio Cook.
Yeah.
But he was a really big man, because really big, but he was big in stature and he was big in mind and everything else. I'm at a meeting and I'm licking like Horatio, man. Cause I fighting with him. Cause I believe in my position and he believed in his. And then they put a few blows below the belt too, you know. And at the end of the night, we go downstairs, they go to the bar and they drink some things, and then they said, "Scott, who you getting home?" I said, "Well, I know." He said, "Get in the car." He would drive me to St. Thomas, then turn around and go to St. Philip. From Dalkeith to Rock Hall, St. Thomas, and then he lived in St. Philip. But no, if you speak up in this country and you say something about a fella that he don't like, man, that fella hit you.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't any hatred then. People work hard for the
Right.
unions. But you don't have people like that now. Nobody stands up anymore. That is why the council is dominated by a few politicians who are they're serving their party's interests rather than the interests of the workers. We had people like Harcourt Lewis, who, by the way, was the treasurer of the Democrat Labour Party. But he fought against the government. Horatio Cook too. He was the treasurer of the Democrat Labour Party at one stage, but marched ahead of a strike against Barrow when the time came
Mm.
because he knew how to separate his roles. So when people say
Correct.
that you can't union shouldn't be involved in politics, no, if you have integrity, you could be involved in anything. But right now, integrity among these
Mm-hmm.
politicians and trade unionists is as scarce as hen's teeth. You know, and you don't find it. And so and now a lot of people refuse to get involved in unions for their best interest. You know,
Yeah.
it is in their best interest, but they don't even participate because they don't want to be associated with that type of behavior. But the unions belong to the members. If the members decide I don't want you no more, they get a petition and get rid of you. But they don't even care to do that.
You know,
I have participated in several
Mr.
petitions.
Franklin, I was saying I'm listening to you, and I can see why you were voted. 73% of Barbadians voted for the Unity Union, of which you are the leader, and saying that you are the union that truly represent the workers in Barbados. I will remind the people that you are the union that took on those cases where people were removed from their jobs, or their jobs were taken terminated because they did not take that injection in their arm. And it is you who took that case to court, and encouraged that lady, and spoke up on her behalf, for her to have won that case against Rubis. And because you understand, and I'm saying it, you're not paying me to say it, but anybody can listen to you now and say, man, if they listen to you and say, man, that's the man I want to represent me. And with that, I want to let you finish your thought there, and then we're gonna segue into Ninja Man, because I believe, not because he's a street character, but I want to use the show to advocate that they provide some evidence. But go ahead, Mr. Franklin. If you can remember your thought, I had to put that in.
Yeah, I was trying. I was trying now. Now go on because it'll come back to me, and I will think. But I right now I am.
Yeah, but I had to put that in because you're not going to say these things, so I have to say it as it relates, because I'm listening and I'm saying, if I needed somebody, I had any problems at work, the person I'll be calling is Cousin Franklin, because I
No,
know
I'll tell you something
you
though.
will fight tooth and nail.
I'll tell you something though. The piece of legislation that we won that case on was passed by this administration in 2021, and having done so,
Mm.
they then turn around and encourage employers to force their workers at the at, and that the chief labor officer wrote to that particular employer, say you can't do it. But the government was saying, getting employers having meetings with them and telling them to get the workers jobbed up. Having passed that legislation just a few months before, they passed. The same thing is, I could understand if they didn't know the law existed, but they passed it. They were the ones who did it, and having done that, because they were being managed from outside, and what the people from outside were asking was contrary to our law. They ignored their laws that they passed, and went ahead and forced people and got people fired. And the thing is, some people got fired and ticket and went no home. But thankfully, this lady we stayed the course, and we managed to get a decision now that they can't do it again, because
And
this
that
decision now
and that
from the
decision
tribunal.
would be for everybody. That
Yeah, this
would now
decision is
be the
this
decision.
decision now for everybody, so they cannot force you to take a medical test or a medical procedure in order to get a job or to retain a job. But there are some exceptions. If it is part of, like, for instance, if you are handling food, then it is required that you get a medical check to see if you are healthy enough to be dealing with people's food. Okay. So your job will require you to have that. But unless it is something like that, they can't ask you to go and get a medical test to determine if you should keep the job or get it. And that case that I did was the first case in Barbados of its kind, because the law was new and most people didn't know anything about it. So I am happy that we won that case, because now it will. And the thing is, it is only the Employment Rights Tribunal that can enforce that legislation. Does not want you to take to court. It goes to the tribunal, just like the
Mhm.
Employment Rights Act go to the tribunal. So a lot of people ask about that. So let me just mention that before we go into the Jaman. If you are unfairly dismissed, and I want to say this to people, if you are unfairly dismissed, meaning that if their employer breached the law while they're dismissing you, you have to report that unfair dismissal to the chief labor officer within
Mhm.
90 days of your dismissal. Now, the other form that we take to court is wrongful dismissal. Wrongful dismissal is not breaching of a statute, it is breaching of your contract. So if you breach the contract, then you can take the employer to court. But so
Okay.
if the employer fired you and he didn't breach the contract, but he disadvantaged you, like for instance, if your contract said before that they can give you 4 weeks notice, and then they give you 4 weeks notice, and after 20, 30 years, they don't go give you a cent. But the Employment Rights Act says that if they terminate you, it gotta be for cause. That's not the exact words they use, but that's the interpretation. Section 29(5). You got, and then you have to give them a hearing. And the hearing has to take a
Mhm.
particular form. And if you do not do that, you breach their rights. So a dismissal could
Mhm.
be unfair, but it won't be wrongful. So the wrongful dismissal is the best avenue for workers. I heard one of the MPs in the House saying, "Oh, that some hotels give people contracts for 9 months and then break the contract for 6 weeks and start them over fresh so they will not get any rates and stuff." Yes, that is true. And he said the government might have to look at it. No, they might have to look at it. They must do something about it. Because under the old system that we had, in order to get your severance pay, you had to be employed for 2 years. And a lot of employers were hiring people, especially lawyers, and firing them in 23 months so they could not get
Mhm.
severance pay. Now, under the Employment Rights Act, the people are giving you 11 months and then firing you. So, because if you are not working for a year, you are not entitled for compensation for unfair dismissal. And but you know who's doing it? QEH. A lot of other statutory boards, because statutory boards are bound by the Employment Rights Act, not the General Service, not the Public Service proper, but statutory boards
Mhm.
are. And statutory boards like the QEH, NCC, and all those other people know are giving people contracts. The same thing those people get up and criticize hotels for doing, they have been doing it first. The hotels are only
Yeah.
following what the government has been doing. But they get up in the house and pretend that they are so mightier than thou. When in fact, they are the persons who are doing it. They are breaching people's rights all over the place. And the employers are saying, but the government do it, we can do it too. And that's where the private sector employers have taken the lead from government. That is why the government wouldn't pay national insurance, then they give you these little um, contracts. You go to the hospital and you would see a lot of people are given contracts and then they send them home. At Bra, people they bring temporary people into the Bra and give them 6 months and then get rid of them and bring another people to get them another 6 months to collect the government's revenue. And when I was in the public service, it was a rule, not written, but something that was observed, that temporary people do not collect the government money. And you give people 6 months contract to carry. So many people know you're going home soon, they're going to teach some. But because they want to be able to fire people or have control over them, they take people and make them cashiers. This is Brad I'm talking about. And give them
Yeah.
6 months contract. And then they don't even get them up to another another four, like how they do with Patrick King and give you 6 months and then give you 5 months and then fire you and they get to curse people. Well, they're not even doing that. They get the 6 months, gone. And come back on another
Yeah.
six, another group. And those people should not as has been practiced in the public service from the time I knew the public service. I work at National Insurance as a temporary officer. And there's certain jobs, even though I was qualified and capable of doing, they didn't let me do because it was temporary. When you are permanent in the public service, you have a career, and it can lead to a pension when you reach retirement age. When you are temporary and you get 6 months, you're getting nothing. So fellas getting federally next first. So you cannot put temptation in people's way. And a lot of people have stolen from Bra. They had it up too. Because what has happened to Bra and the friends and the family friends and things, so they don't want a lot of in the end. So government has a lot of fixing to do. If they are telling employers that you can't do this, then don't set the example for the employers.